Oh, what's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today, we're going to be watching a video titled 13 Ghost Towns in Georgia You're Not Supposed to Know. What do you mean I'm not supposed to know? I want to know. But, okay, let's see what this video is about. What was
Old
that?
Civil War battlefields and warm southern charm. Hidden deep in thick forests, beneath calm lakes, there are places where entire towns once stood. Homes, churches, schools, and shops once filled these spaces with noise and life. Children ran through the streets, but today, many of those places are silent. In this video, we will uncover 13 ghost towns in Georgia where
Oh, ghost towns, as in towns that have been abandoned?
history still lingers in the air.
Wow.
So make sure to stick with us till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Number 13, Writesboro, McDuffie County. At number 13 is Writesboro in McDuffie County, a place once known as the southernmost Quaker settlement in America. Today, it is quiet and almost forgotten, but in the 1700s, it was filled with hope. Writesboro was founded in 1768 by Quakers who came from North Carolina. The Quakers believed in peace, simple living, and religious freedom. They wanted a place where they could worship without fear and build a strong community based on their faith. So they moved south
Wow.
and settled on the Georgia frontier, where land was open and full of promise. In its early years, Writesboro began to grow. Families built homes, cleared fields, and planted crops. Farmers grew corn, wheat, and other grains. The town became a small but busy trading center. Roads connected it to nearby settlements, and goods moved in and out of the community. Life was not easy, but it was steady. The people worked hard and supported one another. During the American Revolution, which began in 1775, many residents of Writesboro supported the fight for independence. The town continued to survive through the late 1700s and into the early 1800s. For many years, it stood as a peaceful farming town guided by faith.
Have you ever thought about when you see these abandoned buildings that are full of plants and the roof is falling off and everything? That was someone's home. That was a functional home. There were kids that grew up in that house. It probably has so many memories. And look at the state of it now. It's really sad, but at the same time, it's so intriguing. Someone looked out of those windows in the morning with their coffee in a mug to their yard, and their kids were playing there. It had life, and I think that's so cool. I wish there was a way of just looking at an abandoned building and knowing the history, seeing a little short film of what happened inside that house. I don't know, I just find it so intriguing.
But after the Civil War ended in 1865, life in Writesboro began to change. The war had damaged much of the South's economy. Farms struggled, trade slowed down. Younger generations moved away to find better jobs in growing cities and railroad towns. Slowly, the population began to shrink. By the early 1900s, only a few families remained. Buildings fell into disrepair. Businesses closed their doors. By the 1920s, Writesboro was no longer an active town. What had once been a hopeful settlement became silent ground. Today, very little is left of Writesboro. A historic church still stands, along with a small cemetery where many of the early settlers are buried. The graves are simple and quiet, resting beneath tall trees. There are no busy streets, no shops, and no homes filled with light. Number 12, Burton, Rabun County. At number 12 is Burton in Rabun
I would love to go explore one of these towns.
County, a town that now rests beneath the waters of Lake Burton. Long before boats and vacation homes covered the shoreline, Burton was a small but lively Appalachian settlement in the mountains of North Georgia. In the late 1800s, Burton was home to farming families, small stores, and a close community. The town had a post office, which opened in 1870, and it close community. The town
Wow, look at that house. I love it. Wow. That might be my dream home ever. That is so beautiful. I love it. It's so pretty with the big windows and everything. That is so beautiful. Maybe not in dark gray, maybe like in white or, but nice.
Had a post office, which opened in 1870, and it quickly became an important
Or actually wood color.
stop for people living in the area. Neighbors knew each other well. Children walked simple dirt roads. Farmers worked the land and traded goods with nearby towns. Life moved at a steady and peaceful pace. Everything began to change in the early 1900s. As electricity became more important across the United States, power companies searched for rivers that could be used to create hydroelectric power. The Tallulah River, which flowed near Burton, was chosen as a perfect site. In 1919, the Georgia Railway and Power Company completed a dam that would create Lake Burton. When the dam was finished, water slowly began to rise. Families who had lived in Burton for generations were forced to leave their homes. They had little choice. Some moved to nearby.
I am so taken, blown away by the houses that I can't even, I can't even take in everything that he's saying. These houses are so beautiful. Look at that. Wow.
Generations were forced to leave their homes. They had little choice.
Wait, is that the same house? But from a different angle? I think it's the same house, but from a different angle. It's so pretty.
Had lived in Burton for generations were forced to leave their homes. They had little choice. Some moved to nearby towns. Others left the region completely. Houses, stores, barns, and even roads were left behind as the water covered the valley. By the end of 1919, Burton had disappeared beneath the surface. The town that once stood proudly in the mountains was now underwater. On clear days, some people believe that parts of the old foundations still rest deep below, hidden in the dark water. Today, Lake Burton is known as one of Georgia's most beautiful mountain lakes. Built in 1919, it has become a popular place for boating, fishing, and summer vacations. Cabins and docks line the shore. Visitors enjoy the calm water without always knowing what lies beneath. Number 11, Oscarville, Forsyth County.
Wow. I would want to go scuba diving there.
At number 11 is Oscarville in Forsyth County, a town whose story is both sad and unsettling. Today, it lies beneath the waters of Lake Lanier, but in the early 1900s,
we watched a video on this, the Lake Lanier where people disappear.
it was a small farming community filled with life. Oscarville was home to many black families who owned land and worked as farmers. They grew crops, raised animals, and built churches and homes. The community was strong and close. Neighbors helped one another, and families worked hard to build a better future for their children. Life was simple, but it was meaningful. In 1912, everything changed. After a white woman named May Crow was assaulted, false accusations were made against black men in the area. Tension quickly turned into violence. White mobs attacked black residents, burned homes, and spread fear across the county. Many black families were forced to flee for their lives. By the end of 1912, most of the black population in Forsyth County had been driven out. Oscarville was left nearly empty. The land that families had owned was taken or abandoned. For decades, the area remained quiet and mostly rural. Then, in the 1950s, another major change came. The United States Army Corps of Engineers began building Buford Dam on the Chattahoochee River. The dam was completed in 1956, creating Lake Lanier. As the water rose, the remains of Oscarville were covered. Roads, foundations, and old structures disappeared beneath the surface. Today, Lake Lanier is one of the most visited lakes in Georgia. People come to swim, boat, and fish. But beneath the water, parts of the old town still rest. Divers have reported seeing submerged roads, building foundations, and even old cemeteries. The idea that a town lies hidden below the lake has led to many local legends and eerie stories. Number 10, Griswaldville, Jones County. At number 10 is...
That's scary. To have like graveyards below the water and then... Oh...
Griswaldville in Jones County, a town that was completely destroyed during the Civil War. Today, only scattered ruins and earthworks remain. But in the 1800s, Griswaldville was a busy and important industrial community. Griswaldville began in the early 1800s and became a major center for industry in Georgia. The town was home to factories that produced weapons, ammunition, and textiles for the Confederacy. Guns, bullets, and cloth were made here to support the Southern armies during the Civil War. The factories provided jobs for many families, and the town grew quickly around this work. People lived close to the mills, and the town had homes, stores, and schools for workers and their families. In 1864, the town's life came to a sudden end. During General William Tecumseh Sherman's march to the sea, Union troops reached Griswaldville. They destroyed the factories, burned homes, and tore down buildings. The town was completely destroyed in a single sweep. Workers and families fled, leaving behind everything they had built. After the war, Griswaldville was never rebuilt. The factories that had supported the town were gone, and the land remained empty. Over the years, nature slowly took over. Today, visitors to the area can see only faint earthworks, old foundations, and scattered ruins. These silent remains are all that is left of what was once a busy industrial town. Number 9.
I wonder what it would take to restore a town like this. I mean, wouldn't that be useful?
Falls, Monroe County. At number 9 is High Falls in Monroe County, a town
beautiful.
that once thrived along the Tawaliga River. In the late 1800s, High Falls was an industrial boomtown filled with activity and hope. The town grew around the river, which provided power for mills and factories. By the 1870s, High Falls had a cotton gin, a shoe factory, and several other small businesses. Farmers from nearby areas brought their crops to town, and workers came to operate the mills. The streets were busy, and the river was the heart of the town. Life in High Falls was steady and full of promise. But in the 1880s, a critical change occurred. Railroad lines were being built across Georgia to connect towns and expand trade. Many communities grew because trains brought goods and people. Unfortunately, the railroad bypassed High Falls. Without the train, the factories could not ship products efficiently, and businesses began to struggle. Jobs were lost, families moved away, and the town's economy collapsed. Over time, the streets became quiet, the mills shut down, and the town slowly faded. Buildings fell into disrepair, and nature started reclaiming the land. By the early 1900s, High Falls was largely abandoned. Today, the site of High Falls is part of High Falls State Park. Visitors come to enjoy the
I was just about to say that it must be used for something because it's absolutely beautiful.
waterfalls, trails, and peaceful scenery, often unaware that a once bustling town stood here. The remains of old buildings and the river's mills are silent reminders of a town left behind by progress. High Falls shows how a community's future can change simply because it missed the path of the railroad. Number 8.
Wow.
Banning Mills, Carroll County. At number 8 is Banning Mills in Carroll County.
I feel like I want to go to one of these towns and start to like DIY restore them, the houses and everything. It's that last one was so pretty. I wonder if like should we make a community in one of these abandoned towns and rebuild it?
Town built deep in the Snake Creek Gorge. In the 1800s, this town was a busy industrial center that relied on the power of the creek to run its many mills. At its peak, Banning Mills had 10 mills producing cotton, paper, and other goods. The mills provided jobs for many families who lived nearby. Homes, stores, and schools were built around the mills, creating a small but thriving community. Life in Banning Mills revolved around the work of the factories and the rhythm of Snake Creek. However, the town faced many challenges. Floods in the late 1800s damaged the mills and washed away some of the buildings. At the same time, economic hardships made it difficult for the town to recover. Families left to find work elsewhere, and the mills gradually stopped operating. By the early 1900s, Banning Mills was largely abandoned. Today, the stone ruins of the mills and other buildings remain hidden deep in the gorge. The walls are weathered, and the creek flows quietly through the area. Nature has slowly reclaimed the town, with trees and vines growing through the ruins and covering what was once an industrial hub. Number 7. Skull Shoals, Greene County. At number 7 is Skull Shoals in Greene County, a town that was once an important industrial center in Georgia. Located in what
That looks like a fairy tale.
the Oconee
It's so pretty.
National Forest. Skull Shoals became famous in the early 1800s as the site of Georgia's first paper mill. The town grew quickly around the river, which provided power for the mills. People came to work in the factories, and families built homes nearby. Skull Shoals produced paper and other goods that were shipped across the state. The town was busy and full of energy, with workers and their families contributing to its growing economy. However, the town faced a serious problem. The Oconee River frequently flooded, especially in the mid-1800s. These floods damaged the mills, destroyed homes, and washed away roads and bridges. Each time the water receded, the residents tried to rebuild, but the floods kept coming. By the 1880s, repeated destruction forced the town to be abandoned. Today, visitors to Skull Shoals can still see the stone ruins of the paper mill and a boarding house that once housed workers. These remains stand quietly among the trees, reminding us of a town that was once ambitious and full of life. Nature has slowly reclaimed the land, and the river continues to flow over what was left behind. We're halfway through our countdown, and these ghost towns just keep getting more incredible. If you're enjoying this journey through Georgia's past, smash that like button. It helps us bring you more forgotten history. And drop a comment below. Have you ever visited any of these ghost towns? I'd love to hear your stories. Number 6. Alatuna, Bartow County. At number 6 is Alatuna in Bartow County, a town that now lies beneath the waters of Lake Alatuna. In the 1864, Alatuna was a busy and prosperous community built around mining and the railroad. The town grew quickly as miners came to work in the nearby gold and mineral deposits. Stores, homes, and workshops were built to support the growing population. The railroad allowed goods to be transported easily, connecting Alatuna to other towns and markets. Families lived and worked here, and the town thrived for many years as a center of commerce and industry. However, in the 1940s and 1950s,
That looks huge, though, to be abandoned.
the United States Army Corps of Engineers began constructing a dam on the Etowah River to create Lake Alatuna. By the mid-1950s, the water slowly rose, covering the town completely. Homes,
But when they built these, they already knew that they were going to get flooded, no? So,
businesses, and roads were submerged. Residents were forced to move, leaving behind the place they had called home for generations. Today, Lake Alatuna is a popular spot for boating, fishing, and recreation. On rare occasions when water levels are low, the remnants of Alatuna, such as foundations and old roads, can still be seen beneath the water. Number 5. Auraria,
Wild.
Lumpkin County. At number 5 is Auraria in Lumpkin County, a town that became famous during
I've never thought about the fact that there's so many, like, man-built lakes. You know? You would, like, I personally nearly always think that they're, just already there. Well, here in Spain, I know there's a few, like, fake lakes and all of that, but they also look fake. But these lakes look really realistic to just be there by nature and not by, like, man-made.
Georgia's first gold rush. In 1828, gold was discovered in the hills near Auraria, and news of the find spread quickly across the state and the country. Almost overnight, thousands of people rushed to the area hoping to find fortune. Tents and cabins were quickly built, and the town grew into one of America's first major gold rush boomtowns. Miners worked day and night, digging in the hills and washing rivers for gold. Shops, saloons, and small businesses sprang up to serve the growing population. The town was full of excitement and energy, and life in Auraria moved quickly as people chased their dreams. However, the gold did not last forever. By late 1949, many miners left Auraria to join the new gold rush in California. The population quickly declined, and the town slowly began to fade. Buildings were abandoned, and the streets became quiet. Wooden structures that were once filled with life began to decay over time. Today, visitors to Auraria can still see some of the old wooden buildings, standing as silent reminders of a town that once promised great wealth. Auraria tells the story of how quickly fortune can appear and just as quickly disappear. It is a place where dreams were chased and left behind, showing that wealth and success can be fleeting. Number 4. Jacksonboro, Screven County. At number 4 is Jacksonboro in Screven County, a town with a mysterious and unusual history. In the late 1700s, Jacksonboro was an important colonial-era settlement in Georgia. It served as a center for government and trade in the area. With a courthouse,
I forgot that this is all in Georgia too. That's wild.
homes, and businesses that supported the local community. According to local stories, the town was cursed in the early 1800s by an evangelist who had been treated poorly by some of the townspeople. Whether the story is true or just a legend, the town began to experience decline soon afterward. Businesses closed, political influence faded, and families started to leave in search of better opportunities elsewhere. By the mid-1800s, Jacksonboro had lost most of its population. Only a few structures remained, and over time, even those fell into disrepair. Today, the Seabourn Goodall House is the only building that survives from the town's early days. It stands as a quiet reminder of what once was, and hints at the life and activity that filled the town centuries ago. Number 3. Petersburg, Elbert County. At number 3 is Petersburg in Elbert County, a city that now rests beneath the waters of Lake Thurmond. In the early 1800s, Petersburg was one of the largest and most vital inland commercial centers, known for its busy streets, thriving businesses, and bustling river trade. The city became a major hub for tobacco. Farmers from across the region brought their crops to Petersburg to sell, and warehouses and markets were built along the river. The river made it easy to transport goods to other towns and states. At its height, Petersburg was filled with shops, homes, and taverns, and the city's economy seemed strong and secure. However, in the mid-1800s, the region's economy began to change. Cotton replaced tobacco as the main crop, and trade shifted to other towns better connected by roads and railways. Petersburg's population started to decline, as people moved away in search of better opportunities. By the late 1800s, many buildings were abandoned, and the city slowly fell into decay. In the 1940s,
Another thing that I like about these old towns is that it feels so communal. Like it feels like there was a stronger community than there is nowadays. Even like going back 20 years, I feel like there was a stronger community in general than there is nowadays. I've been living in this new apartment, for example, for maybe 2 months, and I have no idea who my neighbors are, you know? Before it was just normal to go and say hi to your neighbors and, you know, kind of know who's around and have more community, even make friends with your neighbors. And I think that's what I think is so charming about like little towns, because everybody knows everyone, you know. People used to probably go and knock on each other's doors, and nowadays that's just not a thing, and it's really sad.
the construction of a dam on the Savannah River led to the creation of Lake Thurmond. The remaining parts of Petersburg were submerged underwater. Today, the city that once thrived is completely beneath the lake. On calm days, the water covers streets, homes, and warehouses that were once full of life. Number 2. Sunbury, Liberty County. At number 2 is Sunbury in Liberty County, a town that was once one of Georgia's most important colonial ports. In the 1700s, Sunbury grew quickly along the coast, becoming a busy center for trade. Ships from across the Atlantic arrived with goods, and local merchants sent rice, indigo, and other products to markets far away. Sunbury competed with Savannah, Georgia's largest port, for trade dominance. The town had warehouses, docks, and homes for merchants and their families. Its streets were full of activity, and the port brought wealth and opportunity to the community. For a time, Sunbury seemed destined for lasting success. But the revolution...
I have a question. In America, if you go to one of these abandoned buildings and you kind of rebuild it or restore it, can you legally live there if it's abandoned, or does somebody own it?
Revolutionary War brought disaster. In 1778...
I mean, it depends obviously probably on the house, but if nobody owns it and it's just an abandoned building, can you rebuild it? Or how would that process be? Do you have to buy the land, or like... Or is there any place that that's like no man's land? Like, is there any place that doesn't belong to anyone? Is that a thing in the world. I don't know.
British forces attacked the town, destroying many homes and businesses. The port's trade was disrupted, and families fled to safer areas. Sunbury struggled to recover in the years that followed, and its population declined steadily. Later, during General Sherman's march to the sea in 1864,
I mean, imagine that restored. That's so beautiful. I love it. I'm about to move to one of these ghost towns, you know? I'd move anywhere, clearly.
the town faced further devastation. Union troops burned what remained, leaving only ruins behind.
Wow.
Buildings collapsed, streets were deserted, and the town's once busy port fell silent. Today, Sunbury exists only as archaeological traces. Visitors can see remnants of old foundations and scattered artifacts, but the lively streets and busy docks are long gone. Sunbury is a stark reminder of how war and fire can end the glory of even the most promising towns. Its history lives on in the traces left behind, telling the story of a port that once rivaled Savannah. Number 1. New Ebenezer, Effingham County. At number 1 is New Ebenezer in Effingham County, a town that was once a hopeful and ambitious community. Founded in 1736 by immigrants from Salzburg, Austria, New Ebenezer was created as a place where people could practice their religion freely. The settlers were seeking a safe home where they could live according to their faith without fear of persecution. The town grew quickly as families built homes, farms, and community buildings. Agriculture became the heart of New Ebenezer, with settlers planting crops, raising livestock, and supporting one another through hard work. The community was also deeply spiritual. Churches and schools played an important role, guiding the town in faith and learning. Life in New Ebenezer was organized, peaceful, and full of purpose. However, the Revolutionary War, which began in 1775, brought many challenges. Trade routes were disrupted, and the community faced economic hardships. Some families left the town for safer or more prosperous areas. Over time, New Ebenezer slowly declined, and its population shrank. By the early 1800s, much of the town had disappeared. Today, only the Jerusalem Lutheran Church and its cemetery remain from New Ebenezer. The church stands as a quiet reminder of the faith and determination of the settlers, and the cemetery marks the resting place of those who built the town. Though the streets, homes, and farms are gone, the story of New Ebenezer survives. And there you have it. If you have enjoyed this video, then make sure to share it with friends and family.
I love this video. I just feel like there's something so intriguing and magical about historical places like this. I would love to go and explore. Please let me know in the comments below if you've been to one of these towns, and if you want to build a new community in a coast town. Yeah. But either way, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.